All right, I think I got this thing going again. To the best of my knowledge, see if anybody comes in. But if anybody does, it'll be up later if anybody wants to check it out. But I'm DK Williams. I want to discuss the debacle that was politely referred to as a debate last night. As I move stuff around here on my screen, purely professional. Just so I want to do another impromptu live stream, like I did last week for my law podcast that was on the Law with DK Williams page about the indictment of the one law enforcement officer in the Breonna Taylor case. That was about the law. This one's more political, so here it is in my regular personal feed. I thought about going, you know what? President is a constitutional office. They're going to have a lot to do with the Supreme Court. I figured that's too much of a stretch. This is about politics. So I'm putting it here. Still playing around with this stuff. And I was live tweeting last night, so I'm kind of using my tweets as some of my notes. Follow me personally on Twitter at BlueCarp and the official legal podcast on Twitter at TheLawDKW. I've got 83 podcasts on Supreme Court cases and other important legal issues, so check those out and look for some more coming up on speakeasyideas.com/the law. All right, that thing last night between Donald Trump and Joe Biden was an absolute embarrassment for this country and for America and for humanity. Biden and Trump played their part, but so did Chris Wallace. Pro wrestlers don't even talk over one another like they did because pro wrestlers are professionals. They know how to do their jobs. A friend of mine noted on Facebook, I can't imagine anything more depressing than knowing that the vast majority of Americans are actually going to pick one of those two clowns. I agree. They both had their own issues, Trump and Biden. Not even going to talk about Wallace that much, but Biden was lost. He seemed to be repeating phrases that he's been programmed with. And Biden blamed Trump at one point for shutting down the economy. And so we have a bad economy, we're losing jobs. But at another point, then he said we need to keep the country shut down. So which is it, Joe? He also blamed Trump for losing jobs and then criticized Trump for wanting people to be able to go back to work. The consistency is ridiculous. A middle school debater would not pass on the arguments that these two guys made. And we've gone from Lincoln Douglas debates where the first guy gets 60 minutes to make a point. The next guy gets 90 minutes to make his point and rebut the first guy's points. And then the first guy gets 30 minutes to talk. We've gone from that level of intellectual discussion to what we had last night. You want to talk about devolution. You want to talk about the Michael Judge movie where people get dumber and dumber. And I'm drawing a blank on that one, but you guys know what I mean. With President Hector Elizondo. We're devolving. It is horrible. And if you read like letters written home from Civil War soldiers that had no education, they are more eloquent than those two guys we had last night with their degrees and their lofty political positions and former positions. And Hannah Cox, if you're not following her, do that on Twitter. It's at Hannah Cox7. She said, the two major parties don't have to provide better candidates because they have no competition in the market. It won't get better until we break the two-party system. And she's absolutely right. And the thing is, they do have an oligarchy. It is a duopoly. They do everything they can to keep out that competition. And they're largely successful. And we have to overcome that. We have to stop accepting these two horrible choices. I mean, I know I've made these, if you've ever listened to me before, I've made these points before, but these metaphors. If you go to a restaurant and all they serve is tripe and chitlins, but you keep going back buying them, they have no incentive to change. They're going to keep doing it, which is what we have here with those two clowns last night. They're going to keep giving it to you because some people are so scared of the other guy, they're going to take the tripe. Some people are so scared of the other guy, they're going to take the chitlins. At some point, you have to stop going. Either that restaurant's going to go out of business or they're going to offer something else. And again, People argue about this guy's slightly, I don't like those guys, but this guy's slightly better. I can't let that guy win. It's like arguing that, hey, it's better to run into an oak tree at 90 miles per hour than it is to run into it at 100 miles per hour. It's really not. The end result is the same. And I get such a kick out of Republicans saying, well, we have to be fiscally responsible. Have you guys looked at the U.S. debt clock? That's all I got to say. You're not fiscally responsible. You can pretend to be, but that's a fantasy. That's make-believe. It's delusional. James Bond, I love James Bond, I love Daniel Craig. If a bad guy has him tied up and bound and says, Mr. Bond, you can either lose an eye or you can lose a thumb. What's Bond going to do? Is he going to have a debate about which is worse? If I lost an eye, I'd still be able to see. My depth perception might not be as good. If I lose a thumb, I can't use that. He's not going to have that discussion. He is going to kick the bad guy's ass and do something else, which is what our founders did. Instead, now we sit around and go, oh, we got two bad choices. I guess I'll take one. It's embarrassing. And that's what we got last night. Dave, I keep hearing this. You keep criticizing this corrupt, farcical, incompetent, duopolis oligarchy. What are we supposed to do, Dave? Something the blank else. Quit giving your permission to this farce. Do something else. Hey, I vote third party. I'm voting for Jo Jorgensen. Not because she's going to win. She's not. But we have to do something. That is my sanction if I vote for one of those two clowns. I'm giving them my approval. I'm not giving them my approval. That's a wasted vote. That is that is balling it up and throwing it away. My vote is worth more than that. Only wasted vote is for one of those clowns. And I know some people just don't vote at all. I get it. My belief, what I want to see happen on my goal, is that when people start winning elections with 40%, 38%, that will be an impetus to change things. So I'm voting for the third party because I want that percentage the winner gets to be as low as possible. Maybe it's tilting at windmills. Hey, I like Cervantes. Something's gotta happen. And nothing's gonna happen if we keep giving our permission to it, if we keep supporting it. And that's what we're doing, and it's sad. Nobody won that debate last night. America lost that debate. Somebody else made a good point on social media that Jo Jorgensen won that debate. She's the Libertarian nominee. And the person said that no one in America was convinced who was undecided. They went, you know what? I got to vote for that guy, Biden or Trump. Nobody did that. At least I hope not. But there had to be people out there that said, I can't vote for either one of those buffoons. And maybe they'll look somewhere else. Anyway, if you haven't, go to Joe, which is J-O, because it's short for Joanne, jo20.com. See what you got. Another note I made, arguing about Trump or Biden for president, is like a argument about if Ed Wood or Tommy Wiseau is a better filmmaker. You can come to a rational conclusion, but they both suck. Trump's biggest tactical mistake last night was interrupting Biden. Letting Biden talk is his best strategy. Trump was incapable of doing it. You guys might remember, or many of you do, I think they have a new episode of South Park tonight. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are right on many, many things. And back in 2004, they had an episode of South Park during that presidential election where it was between the two choices were a douche and a turd sandwich. That was 16 years ago, and here we are. We still keep voting for that. So we're going to keep getting it. It's our fault as a unit. It's not mine. I'm not giving them my permission. If somebody gouges out my eye, it's going to be against my will. I'm not going to say, sure, go ahead. At least I can keep my thumb. Paris Accord was mentioned. All I can do is suggest people read it. I do that on my legal podcast all the time. If you have an opinion about a Supreme Court case, read it. It's just a good idea. Don't take my word for it. The Paris Accord is a statement that some countries want to do something. We don't know what yet, but we want to do some things. We're going to get back later and see if we can do them. There's no enforcement mechanism for even that. So putting all of this importance behind an unenforceable agreement to do something later is propaganda. And if you really care about carbon in the air, that should make you mad because it's nonsense. All right. Angela K. Plummer, who you should also follow, she said, and you guys want to give me shit for being a libertarian? Really? All right. And then the interrupting. This will be the last thing. You could hire a sound guy with one button to turn the mic on for Trump, one button to turn the mic on for Biden. You could even have it set up so only one mic could be on at a time. You could hire somebody to do that for less than $75 an hour. You know? And they do it in other things. They turn off mics, entertainment companies, television channels. They do a award show. They got a bunch of mics up there. They turn on the ones that are live. That's so obvious. The only thing I can think of is that they want that nonsense. They want that absurdity. And they get it. And we get it. And it's sad. All right. My last comments on that, or my last notes on the whole thing last night, was that I weep for America. And I'm being only half sarcastic. I weep for America, and may God have mercy on our souls.